Have you ever wondered why some men at 75 are still hiking mountains, tending to their gardens, and smiling with a glow that makes them look 50 again? While others, at the very same age, seem to have lost their spark, tired, quiet, like a lamp that's slowly fading. I used to think it was all about genetics. Then I blamed time. Until one day, an 80-year-old man walked into my clinic and said something that made me rethink everything. He didn't ask for supplements. He didn't ask about diets. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Doctor, I just want to feel alive again." From that moment on, I started observing more closely, digging deeper. And what I discovered was a small but powerful truth, something society rarely talks about when it comes to aging well. Not medication. Not exercise equipment. But reconnecting with your own body. Sounds surprising, doesn't it? I get it, you might feel a little hesitant. But stay with me, because in this video, we're about to go on a journey unlike anything you've heard before. A journey I believe can help you not just live longer, but live deeper, happier, and more authentically you. Coming up, I'll show you what cutting-edge science reveals about this inner fountain of youth. Real-life stories from men who thought their best days were behind them. And most importantly, a simple, gentle method you can start today to awaken the energy that's been inside you all along. Are you ready? Go make yourself a warm cup of tea, find a quiet seat, and join me as we open the door to a whole new, inspired side of aging, where joy, connection, and vitality have been waiting for you all along. Growing older doesn't mean falling behind. Sometimes, it's the perfect chance to return to yourself, more fully than ever before. The longevity puzzle, why some men thrive after 70 and others don't. Let me tell you about two men I once met, both in their early 70s. One of them, let's call him Walter, spent his mornings hiking with his dog in the Colorado foothills. He'd return home, make himself a green smoothie, and spend the afternoon building wooden toys for his grandkids. His eyes sparkled when he spoke. He laughed easily. His mind was sharp as ever. The other, Jim, lived just a few miles away. Same age, same generation, even the same weather. But Jim mostly stayed indoors. He rarely left his recliner except for doctor's visits. His speech had slowed, his hands trembled slightly, and his gaze often drifted toward the window, as if watching life go by from the outside. Now if I told you that Walter and Jim were both born healthy, both raised in stable homes, both had careers and families, you'd probably ask, what happened? That's the puzzle of longevity. Why do some men continue to thrive well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond, full of energy, curiosity, and joy, while others seem to quietly fade away? We often assume it's all about luck. Or maybe genetics. And yes, those do play a part. But over the years in my practice, I've seen something deeper at work. A quiet, often overlooked difference between men like Walter and men like Jim. The thriving ones never stopped listening to their bodies. They stayed curious. They found ways, big or small, to stay connected to their sense of vitality. And here's something that may surprise you. That connection isn't always about lifting weights or eating kale. Sometimes, it's something far more personal. Something we're not taught to talk about, especially as we grow older. Walter once told me over coffee, it's not about being young again. It's about staying alive in here. And he gently tapped his chest. That stayed with me. Because you see, thriving isn't about denying age. It's about embracing it, with presence, with honesty, and with a willingness to keep showing up for yourself. So here's a little takeaway before we move on. Longevity isn't just about how long you live. It's about how deeply you choose to live, especially when the world expects you to slow down. And now, I want to take you into one of the biggest reasons so many men stop thriving in silence. It's not their body breaking down. It's not a lack of motivation. It's something much heavier, yet invisible. Shame. Especially around their own sexuality. Let's talk about it. Breaking the silence. Why male sexuality after 60 is still taboo. Let me tell you about Frank. He was 78 when he first sat across from me in the clinic. Retired engineer, widowed, 2 grown kids, a quiet man who carried himself with that old-school dignity. At first, he came in to talk about sleep. He couldn't fall asleep, he said. Felt anxious, disconnected. He didn't know why. We talked about his habits, his food, his walks. But something lingered beneath the surface. So I asked, gently, "Frank, when was the last time you felt good in your body?" He hesitated. Lowered his eyes. And then, almost in a whisper, he said, "I guess, since my wife died. I haven't really touched myself. It feels wrong. At my age, isn't it supposed to be over?" And there it was. A sentence I've heard in different words, from countless men over 60. Not because they're broken. But because they've been taught to disappear, from their own pleasure, from their own bodies, quietly, respectfully, as if aging meant closing the door on desire forever. Let's pause here for a moment. Why is it that when we talk about aging, we talk about blood pressure, joint pain, memory loss, but almost never about sexual vitality? Why is it that society celebrates youthful sexiness, but falls into silence the moment wrinkles show up? The truth is, we carry messages, some from our fathers, some from our culture, some from religion, that say, real men don't need that at this age. It's selfish. It's shameful. It's childish. And slowly, quietly, many men learn to disconnect. Not just from sexual expression, but from the deeper permission to feel. To feel pleasure, closeness, tenderness, even in solitude. Frank wasn't ashamed because his body couldn't respond. He was ashamed for even wanting to feel alive. And here's the hard part, that silence. It doesn't just live in conversations. It lives in doctors' offices. In TV ads. In the way no one talks about men's desire after 60 unless it's to sell a pill. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Your capacity for pleasure doesn't retire when you do. Desire might change, become slower, deeper, more emotional, but it doesn't disappear. And ignoring it? That doesn't make it noble. It makes it lonely. Frank and I worked together for a few months. He started with small steps, not for performance, not for an end goal, just to feel at home again in his own skin. And one day, he told me this. "I used to think I had to let that part of me go, but now I realize, it was the part one needed most." So before we go further, here's your small takeaway. Shame is a story someone else gave you. You can choose to write a new one. And in the next part, we'll explore exactly how science backs that up. How your brain, your heart, even your immune system, come alive when you reconnect with your body in this intimate, healing way. Let's take a closer look at what's really going on inside, biologically, emotionally, hormonally, when you allow yourself to feel again. The science of self-pleasure, what really happens inside your body. Let's take a breath together. Because now, we're stepping gently into the heart of it. Not just the emotion, but the biology. I want to share a story about Leonard, a 72-year-old jazz pianist who came to see me not because of any illness, but because, in his words, "I don't feel rhythm in my body anymore." At first, I didn't quite understand what he meant. But as we talked, it became clear. He was talking about something deeper than music. He was talking about aliveness. He wasn't sleeping well. His joints ached. His memory felt foggy. And the part he hadn't told anyone, he hadn't touched himself in almost 5 years. So, we looked at it together, not as a shameful secret, but as a scientific mystery waiting to be understood. And here's what we found. Every time you engage in sexual pleasure, especially solo, your body doesn't just feel good. It activates. The brain releases endorphins, your natural painkillers. Produces oxytocin, the bonding hormone that reduces stress and fosters calm. Lights up neural pathways linked to memory, mood, and attention. In fact, studies from the University of California show that regular sexual activity in older adults correlates with better cognitive function and lower rates of depression. Red heart. The heart. Blood vessels dilate. Circulation improves, including to your brain and extremities. Blood pressure drops, heart rate stabilizes. It's a gentle cardio workout, without needing sneakers. Leonard was amazed when we looked at a 2018 study from Finland. Men aged 55 to 75 who remained sexually active, whether with a partner or alone, had significantly lower risk of heart disease over a 5-year period. The body. Your testosterone gets a natural boost, helping maintain muscle mass and bone density. Prostate health improves. A Harvard study showed that men who ejaculated 21 times a month had a 33% lower risk of prostate cancer. Pelvic muscles engage, aiding with bladder control and overall function. Leonard slowly started a practice, just once a week at first. No expectations. No goals. After a month, he came back smiling. My hands are looser. My sleep's deeper. And guess what? I remembered a melody I wrote 20 years ago. It wasn't magic. It was hormones, blood flow, and gentle reconnection, working together like a well-tuned band. So here's your gentle reminder. Pleasure isn't a luxury. It's a biological necessity. And your body, even in its older years, still knows how to respond, restore, and reward you. In the next part, we're going to zoom in even closer to a part of the body most men are told to ignore once they hit a certain age. The pelvic region. Because what happens down there affects everything else up here, from your brain to your heart to your confidence. Let's talk about it. Prostate, penis and pleasure, how regular stimulation protects your pelvic health. Let's talk about a part of the body that most men don't mention by name after a certain age. Not with their doctors. Not with their friends. Sometimes, not even with themselves. But here's the truth, your pelvic region, yes, including your penis and prostate, doesn't just exist for youth and romance. It's a vital, living system. And like any part of your body, it thrives on use and attention. Let me tell you about Eli, a 69-year-old retired schoolteacher. He came in because he was waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom. He'd also started experiencing mild leakage when sneezing or laughing, something he called just part of getting old. But when we examined him, it wasn't just his bladder. His pelvic floor muscles had weakened. His prostate was slightly enlarged. And underlying it all? Years of disuse, not just physically, but emotionally too. Here's what many men don't realize. Magnifying glass tilted left the prostate. It's a small gland about the size of a walnut, nestled just below the bladder. Its health is directly influenced by circulation, ejaculation frequency, and hormonal balance. Research from Harvard found that men who ejaculated 21 times per month, through sex or self-pleasure, had up to a 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer. Why? Because stimulation helps flush out toxins, maintain healthy tissue, and improve blood flow to the area. Flexed biceps, the pelvic floor. A network of muscles supporting your bladder, bowels, and sexual function. Just like abs or biceps, these muscles weaken when neglected. Gentle massage, stimulation, and awareness can reactivate strength and control. Regular, mindful touch, including during self-pleasure, engages these muscles. Over time, this can help reduce urgency, improve control, and even support better erections. Eli was surprised when I suggested a routine that included gentle pelvic massage and self-stimulation, not as something naughty, but as a form of physical therapy. He laughed and said, "Doc, you just prescribed me self-care in the most unexpected way." 3 months later, he reported, fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, stronger confidence when socializing, and maybe best of all, a quiet sense of pride. So here's a little truth worth remembering. You don't lose function because you age, you lose it because you stop using it. Your body is built to adapt, regenerate, and respond, at any age, when you give it the chance. Now that we've explored what's happening physically, let's shift upward again, to the place where it all begins. Your mind. Because your brain is not just along for the ride, it's steering the whole ship. And how pleasure impacts your cognition, memory, and mental sharpness, might just surprise you. Let's go there next. The brain on pleasure, how arousal keeps your mind sharp. You know that feeling when you suddenly remember a name, a song, or a smell from years ago, and for a moment, everything feels vivid and alive? That's not just nostalgia. That's your brain lighting up. Now imagine if something as simple and natural as arousal could help you access more of that light, more clarity, focus, and joy, even as you age. Let me tell you about Howard, a 74-year-old former architect. He came to see me not because of physical pain, but because he said, "My thoughts feel slow. Like someone dimmed the lights inside." He wasn't showing signs of dementia. He just felt mentally sluggish, less creative, less interested in puzzles, conversations, even books. When I asked him about pleasure, not just sexual pleasure, but sensory pleasure, he paused, then chuckled. "Doc, I think I put that part of myself in the attic a decade ago." Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain is wired for pleasure. And when it experiences it, especially the intimate, embodied kind, several things happen. Brain biochemically. Dopamine increases, boosting motivation and focus. Oxytocin and endorphins rise, lowering stress and promoting feelings of connection. Testosterone and estrogen support neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells. That's right, new brain cells. A study from Rutgers University showed that sexual stimulation leads to increased blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for memory, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Counterclockwise arrows button neurologically. Pleasure activates multiple regions of the brain, not just those linked to touch, but also areas related to long-term memory, problem-solving, creativity. Over time, regular positive stimulation, even gentle arousal, helps strengthen neural pathways, keeping them flexible and alive. This is part of a phenomenon called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, grow, and adapt, even into your 80s and 90s. Howard started small. A few breathing exercises. Some gentle touch. Moments of permission to just be in his body without judgment. After 2 months, he came in grinning with a crossword puzzle in hand and said, "I beat my son at Scrabble last weekend. First time in 10 years. So here's the takeaway I'd love you to hold on to. Pleasure sharpens more than the senses, it sharpens the self. Your brain is not a fading light. It's a living, responsive organ, and yes, it still loves to be lit up." And now, we've looked at how pleasure helps your heart, your hormones, your pelvic floor, and your mind. But what about the mistakes? The quiet habits, beliefs, and blind spots that quietly steal vitality, even when we have the best intentions? That's what we'll talk about next. Let's look, with compassion, at the most common mistakes older men make about their sexual health, and how you can gently turn them around. Common mistakes older men make about sexual health, and how to fix them. Let me tell you about Tom. He was 76, a widower, father of 3, and proud former Navy man. The kind of guy who always stood tall, even as the years tried to bend him. He came into my office with a sheepish grin and said, "Doc, I think I broke the machine. It's not working the way it used to." We laughed, gently. But under the joke was something real: frustration, confusion, and a quiet sense of failure. Tom wasn't broken. But like so many men, he was working from a manual written decades ago, one that forgot to include updates for the wisdom years. And that brings us to today's truth. Most older men don't lose their sexual vitality from age itself, they lose it from outdated beliefs. Let's look at a few of the most common ones. Crossmark mistake number 1, if it doesn't end in orgasm, it doesn't count. Many men grew up thinking pleasure has to be fast, firm, and finish with a bang. But as the body matures, arousal becomes more subtle, more layered, and yes, slower. Fix, redefine pleasure. Focus on sensation, not outcome. Explore the idea that intimacy, even solo intimacy, can be about presence, not performance. Crossmark mistake number 2, I'm too old for this. This belief often comes dressed in logic, gray hair, health issues, medications. But underneath, it's shame whispering, you don't deserve this anymore. Fix, talk back to that voice. Ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? Pleasure doesn't expire. Your need for connection, to yourself, to feeling alive, is as human at 70 as it was at 20. Crossmark mistake number 3, it's selfish to focus on myself. Especially for men who've been caregivers, fathers, providers. They often feel that pleasure equals indulgence. That it's something earned, not innate. Fix, reframe it as self-care. Would you tell a friend not to stretch, meditate, or walk? Then why not this? This is just another way to keep the whole system, heart, mind, muscles, engaged and flowing. Tom nodded as we talked through each of these. And then he said something I'll never forget. So, it's not about getting back to who I was. It's about being okay with who I am now. Exactly. That's the shift. Not backward, but inward. So here's the little lesson tucked inside today's chapter. Your body isn't asking you to be young again. It's asking you to be curious again. Now that we've unlearned some myths, what do you say we learn something new, something practical? In the next part, I'll walk you through a gentle, effective 5-step method I use with my own patients, a way to bring connection, healing, and yes, pleasure back into your life. Without pressure, without shame, and completely at your own pace. It's time to explore the restoration method. Let's begin. The restoration method, a 5-step framework to reignite your body. By now, you've probably realized something important. Your body isn't asking to be fixed, it's asking to be listened to. That's exactly why I created what I call the restoration method. It's not a workout. It's not a performance. It's a simple, gentle 5-step practice I've shared with dozens of men, and every time, it leads not just to pleasure, but to presence. Let me walk you through it. Step 1, preparation, make space for yourself. Start by choosing a quiet, private place. This is your time. No rush. No interruptions. No pressure. Light a candle. Dim the lights. Put a towel down. Play some soft music if it helps you feel grounded. Harold, a 68-year-old farmer from Oregon, told me this was the most powerful step of all. He said, "For the first time, I felt like I was honoring myself, not sneaking, not hiding." Step 2, relaxation, come home to your breath. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. Take 10 slow, deep breaths. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6. Feel your shoulders drop. Your jaw soften. Your stomach let go. This tells your nervous system, I'm safe. Step 3, awakening, reconnect with sensation. Before going directly to your genitals, begin with other areas. Run your hands gently over your arms, chest, belly, thighs. Notice what feels warm. What tingles. What calls your attention. You're not chasing anything. You're just exploring. I had no idea my forearms were so sensitive, one man said to me with a laugh. That's the beauty, rediscovery. Step 4, focus stimulation, touch with intention. Now, if and when it feels right, move to direct stimulation. Use a small amount of warm, silicone-based lubricant. Try these 3 gentle techniques. The encompassing palm, wrap your lubricated hand around your shaft, soft or hard, and gently stroke. Gland circles, use 2 fingers to make light, circular motions around the head. Root massage, press and circle the area between the scrotum and anus, the perineum, to awaken pelvic muscles and blood flow. You don't need to achieve anything. Just notice. Linger. Listen. Step 5, integration, close with gratitude. When you're ready to stop, whether or not you climaxed, return to stillness. Place one hand on your chest. One on your belly. Breathe deeply. Feel the warmth in your body. Thank yourself, not just for the touch, but for the courage to show up. Some men write in a small journal afterward, just a line or 2. Felt more connected today. Discovered a new sensation. It's your private log of reconnection. So here's today's small truth. Your body remembers how to feel. Your job is simply to give it permission. In the next part, we'll talk about something many men struggle with once they start this journey. Barriers, from physical limitations to medications to simply living with grandkids in the house. Don't worry, we'll go through it all, together. Because every obstacle has a gentle, human way through. Let's explore that next. Privacy, health conditions, and medications, practical tips to overcome barriers. By now, you might be thinking, this all sounds beautiful, but how am I supposed to actually do this, in real life? And that's a fair question. Because the truth is, even with the best intentions, many men face very real, very human barriers when it comes to reconnecting with their body. Today, let's talk about those, not as problems, but as places where we can get creative, kind, and gentle with ourselves. Let me introduce you to Raymond. He's 81 and lives with his daughter, son-in-law, and 3 grandkids. He loves them, but privacy? That's a luxury. When we first spoke, he said, "Doc, I don't even have time alone in the bathroom. I can't just light candles and disappear for an hour." I smiled. Because Raymond wasn't wrong. But here's what we came up with together, and what might help you too. Barrier number 1, privacy in a shared home. Tips. Mid-morning or early afternoon is often a good window, when others are at work, school, or running errands. Use noise-canceling headphones or soft music to create your own internal space. A simple sign on the door, "Please knock first," can be a subtle but effective signal. And if needed, even the shower can become a place of gentle reconnection. As Raymond said weeks later, turns out, a towel under the door and some jazz in my headphones was all I needed. Barrier number 2, medications and health conditions. Some medications, especially for blood pressure, depression, or diabetes, can reduce desire or affect arousal. And conditions like arthritis, back pain, or fatigue can make traditional movement or stimulation uncomfortable. Tips. Try practicing after a warm shower or bath, when muscles and joints are relaxed. Use pillows to support your back or hips. If you're on ED medication, time your session during its peak effect, usually 30 to 60 minutes after taking it. And remember, pleasure is not about intensity, it's about presence. Paul, a 70-year-old with arthritis in his wrists, switched to using his forearms and said, "It's not the same as before, it's slower, softer, but honestly, more meaningful. Barrier number 3, I just don't have the time. This one might seem surprising, but many older men are caring for spouses, grandkids, or still working. Tips. Start small. Even 10 minutes of intentional breath and gentle touch can make a difference. Make it part of your self-care routine, just like brushing your teeth or stretching. Schedule it if needed, not as a chore, but as a quiet promise to yourself. So here's the quiet truth I want to offer today. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You just need a little space, a little kindness, and a willingness to try. In the next chapter, I want to introduce you to a few more men, real people, who faced all of this too. And through gentle practice, saw not just physical changes, but emotional healing, confidence, and even joy return to their lives. Because this isn't theory. This is real transformation, and it's entirely possible. Let's hear their stories next. Real stories, real change, how reclaiming sexual vitality transformed these men. If you've ever thought, maybe it's too late for me, I want you to meet a few men who once felt exactly the same. Until something shifted. These aren't celebrities or athletes. They're teachers, mechanics, grandfathers, men like you, quietly carrying decades of life, responsibility, and silence. And what they discovered? That reconnection with their body wasn't the end of a chapter, it was the beginning of a new one. Meet Carl, 75, retired firefighter. When Carl lost his wife, he told me, I shut down. Emotionally, physically. I felt like the part of me that felt, just died with her. For years, he avoided touch of any kind, even from himself. He said it felt disloyal. But over time, grief turned into numbness. And that numbness began to affect everything, his mood, his sleep, even his appetite. We started small. Just breath work. Then gentle touch, with no goal but presence. 6 weeks later, Carl walked in and said, with tears in his eyes, I didn't think I'd ever feel warmth in my chest again. But I do. Meet Darius, 68, former long-haul truck driver. Darius had spent most of his life in motion, always moving, always pushing through. But when retirement came, the stillness hit him hard. He'd been struggling with erectile dysfunction and told me, what's the point if nothing happens? We talked about redefining success, that it wasn't about performance, but sensation. 2 months in, he wasn't chasing erections anymore. He was exploring pressure, temperature, rhythm, almost like a musician learning a new instrument. He said, it's strange. I feel more alive now than I did in my 40s. I'm not trying to perform anymore. I'm just being me. Meet Joe, 81, retired school principal. Joe didn't come to me about sex. He came because he felt foggy, couldn't focus, lost track of time, and felt emotionally flat. But as we talked, he admitted, I haven't touched myself since before my first grandchild was born. It just felt inappropriate. We reframed it. Not as indulgence, but as medicine. A way to stimulate his brain, his heart, his sense of presence. Slowly, things changed. His memory improved. He became more expressive. At one point he laughed and said, I think my grandson thinks I started drinking green juice or something. These stories aren't about reclaiming youth. They're about reclaiming aliveness, in whatever form it now takes. So if you're watching this and wondering if you're too late, too far gone, too tired, I want you to hear this clearly. It's never too late to come home to yourself. And all it takes is the first small step. In our final part together, I'll show you how to bring all of this together. How to turn this from a single practice, into a lifelong, sustainable source of connection and vitality. Because now that you've rediscovered the how, let's talk about how to keep it going, in a way that feels real, natural, and true to you. Let's bring it home. From surviving to thriving, how to make this a lifelong practice. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that aging means slowing down, shrinking back, fading into the background. But what if aging, real aging, is actually about coming into full color? Not surviving. Thriving. Let me tell you about James. He's 79 now, a retired jazz musician with arthritis in his fingers and a heart full of stories. When we first met, he said, "My world has gotten smaller, document. I used to have rhythm, now I just wait for the day to end." But over time, through gentle reconnection, breath, sensation, curiosity, James found a new rhythm. One that didn't depend on applause or performance. Just a quiet, steady beat of aliveness. He didn't become someone new. He just became more of himself, more grounded, more joyful, more awake. And here's what I told him, what I want to tell you. This isn't about chasing a moment. It's about building a relationship with your body that stays with you, for life. Just like stretching keeps you mobile. Just like reading keeps your mind sharp. This practice, of presence, of pleasure, of compassion, keeps your whole being engaged. So how do you make it sustainable? A few gentle suggestions. Choose your rhythm, maybe it's twice a week, maybe it's Sunday mornings with tea and music. The point is consistency, not quantity. Listen to your body, some days will be more physical. Others will be more emotional. Let it vary. Let it be honest. Keep a journal, just a sentence or two. Felt calm today. Remembered something beautiful. This helps you track progress, not in performance, but in presence. Revisit the steps. When life gets busy or distracting, go back to the restoration method. It's always there, like an old friend. Talk to someone you trust, whether it's your doctor, a partner, or a support group. Healing grows faster when it's shared. Because the truth is, this isn't about youth. It's about vitality. And vitality has no expiration date. As we close this journey together, I want to leave you with one last thought, something I've witnessed again and again in my years of practice. The men who age best aren't always the strongest, or the richest, or the most outwardly successful. They're the ones who stay curious. Who keep learning, keep feeling, keep showing up, even when no one's watching. And now, that includes you. If this video touched something in you, I'd love to hear it. Drop a comment below, your story might be the spark someone else is waiting for. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who might need a gentle reminder that life isn't over, it's just evolving. This is Dr. Laura, signing off for now. Wherever you are on your path, I hope you keep listening to your body, honoring your heart, and living with your whole self, fully, kindly, beautifully.